Imagine this. A whole generation, young men marching off to war, their heads full of dreams about glory, heroism.
Yeah, the posters, the speeches.
Exactly. And then they come back. If they come
Amen.
back. Just broken.
Or not at all. It's a brutal image.
It really is. And it's right at the heart of Erich Maria Remarque's incredible novel, All Quiet on the Western Front. It's just timeless.
Absolutely. Still so powerful today.
So today, that's what we're doing. A deep dive into this classic. We're looking closely at some key parts of the book, really getting into the story of Paul Bäumer, this young soldier.
And through his eyes, we see the real cost of war, don't we? Nothing romantic about it.
Not at all. Our mission here is to unpack what the story tells us about conflict, about loss, and about this whole idea of a lost generation.
Those universal truths that resonate even now.
So let's get into Paul Bäumer's journey. It starts, maybe surprisingly, not on a battlefield in 1914, but, well, in a classroom.
A quiet German classroom, as the book says. Which is ironic, given what happens next.
Very ironic. Because the air in there isn't calm. It's thick with patriotism, whipped up by their teacher, Kantorek.
Kantorek. He's quite the character. Not exactly just teaching grammar and sums.
No, he's delivering these fiery speeches all about patriotism, duty, sacrifice. He's telling these boys, your country needs you.
And they're young, impressionable.
Just kids, really. Paul Bäumer is only 19. And his friends, Kropp, Mueller, Lear, they're all there, soaking it in.
Inspired by pride, yeah, but also pressured, right? By authority, by the atmosphere.
Definitely. They volunteer, thinking about, honor, medals, the thrill of battle they've been promised.
It's kind of chilling looking back how easily that youthful idealism can be twisted.
Makes you think, doesn't it?
Yeah.
How would you react? How easy it is to get swept up in that kind of powerful talk.
And then the reality hits.
Oh, it hits hard. The glorious adventure, it vanishes pretty quickly.
Yeah.
First, there's the military training. Brutal stuff.
Under Corporal Himmelstoss, he's infamous.
Cruel is the word the book uses. And this training, it wasn't about making them soldiers in a practical sense. It was different.
It stripped them, right, of their innocence, their humanity almost. It wasn't preparation, it was degradation.
Yeah, the book says it left them bitter and afraid. Not exactly battle-ready in the way they imagined.
It's Remarque showing that the dehumanization starts before the trenches. Himmelstoss isn't just a bully. He's part of the machine.
And then they get to the Western Front.
Yeah.
France. And any last bit of illusion just shatters.
Hits them like a shell, as Remarque puts it.
Exactly. Suddenly it's endless trenches, mud everywhere, lice, the constant shelling, and, well, the smell.
The stench of death. It's inescapable. That immediate sensory overload must have been overwhelming.
Yeah, any romantic ideas about war just evaporate on arrival. It's pure stark reality.
And that psychological impact, hitting young minds expecting something so different, it's immense. The shell is metaphorical, too. It shatters their whole worldview.
But even in that hell, Paul finds, well, a connection, an anchor.
Kaczynski at Cincy Pat.
Yes. Stanislaus Kaczynski. He's older, wiser in the ways of survival, becomes Paul's best friend, mentor.
A lifeline. Absolutely crucial.
Remarque describes him as able to scavenge food out of nowhere, basically. Paul really looks up to that resourcefulness, that calm he has.
In that chaos, having someone like Kat, someone grounded, practical, it's everything.
It really is. The book makes it clear that bond with Kat is what kept Paul human.
It underscores how vital that connection is, doesn't it? Even when everything around you is designed to strip away your humanity, friendship resists.
It makes you think, who's your cat when things get tough? That person who helps you stay you.
A necessary anchor.
But even with Kat, death is just constant, every day.
And it's not the noble sacrifice Kantorek talked about.
No, it's meaningless, gruesome, just a spectacle. We see it so clearly with Paul's classmate, Kemmerich.
Oh, the Kemmerich scene, that stays with you as a leg wound.
And he's dying slowly, agonizingly. But what's really chilling is the detail about his boots.
The boots, yeah. Good quality boots.
And the hospital staff, they're just sort of eyeing them casually. Like the boots are already more important than Kemmerich himself.
It's brutal. The ultimate objectification.
And then Miller, his friend, inherits the boots. Then Miller dies, and someone else gets them. It becomes this awful metaphor.
Boots pass on, soldiers don't.
Exactly.
It's an incredible literary device, using something so mundane, a pair of boots, to show the absolute disposability of human life in that war machine. It's not just that they're valuable, it's the casualness of it all. The soldier is just a temporary holder for equipment.
It really flips your sense of value upside down.
Completely. Material over human life. That's the logic of the front.
Amongst all this darkness, though, Paul does have these tiny moments, these little slivers of peace.
Fleeting moments, like the encounter with the French women.
Yeah, or even just roasting a goose. Simple things that feel huge in that context.
Small pockets of normalcy, almost.
But then he gets leave. He goes home.
Yeah.
And you'd think that would be a relief, but
It's often the hardest part for soldiers, that return.
he says it was the hardest part. Home felt alien, just completely foreign.
Because no one there could possibly understand.
Right. He tries to talk. They can't grasp it. His mother is sick. His father asks about the war like it's some kind of exciting game.
Still caught up in the propaganda, the ideas of honor and duty.
Yeah. And Paul feels utterly alone. More alone, he says, at home than he did back in the trenches with his comrades.
It's a terrible irony, isn't it? Finding more isolation and safety than in danger.
It really shows those invisible wounds, the trauma, and just how massive that gap is between the soldier's reality and civilian life.
That divide is huge, almost unbridgeable for Paul.
And then comes a moment that, well, it breaks something in him deeply.
The killing of Gerard Duval.
Yes, he's trapped in a shell crater. A French soldier jumps in, and Paul instinctively stabs him, kills him.
But the man doesn't die instantly.
No, he dies slowly, and Paul is trapped there with him, watching him fade. And in those hours, he sees.
He sees a human being, not an enemy, not a monster.
Exactly. He finds letters, pictures, realizes this man, Gerard Duval, had a name, a family, a job, a printer, I think.
Yes, a printer, a whole life extinguished.
And Paul is horrified. He talks to the dying man, promises to write to his family, promises he'll never forget him.
But he knows he can't keep those promises, doesn't he?
He knows the war won't let him. And that act, that face-to-face killing of another human being, it haunts him.
It's a profound psychological wound, what we'd now call moral injury, perhaps. It shatters that us versus them mentality that war relies on.
You see the enemy as human, and suddenly the whole enterprise feels wrong.
Fundamentally wrong. Remarque forces Paul and us, the readers, right into that moment of shared humanity in the midst of inhumanity. It shows war doesn't just destroy bodies, it corrodes the soul. It's arguably the novel's most powerful anti-war statement right there.
And the losses just keep piling up after that. It feels relentless.
One by one, his friends, his comrades from school, they just disappear.
Lear gets torn apart by a shell. Kropp loses a leg, maybe survives, but is fundamentally changed, taken out of the fight.
Miller, who got Kemmerich boots, he's shot. Dies.
Hay Westus, the big cheerful peat digger.
Yeah.
He dies too. Even Jaden, the Joker, the one with the appetite.
Ugh.
He just kind of fades. The spirit goes out of him.
Broken by it all. The front consumes everyone eventually.
And then the final blow for Paul.
Cat. Cat's death. That's just heartbreaking.
He gets hit by a tiny, almost random stray splinter. Paul carries him, thinking he's just unconscious.
Only to find out he's dead when they reach safety.
Yeah. And with Cat gone, Paul is empty. Emotionally dead, the book suggests.
The last of his group, the last link to that initial shared experience.
The war has taken everything from him. His youth, his friends, his hope, any ability to feel real joy.
Can you even imagine that level of loss? Watching everyone you know, everyone you've clung to for survival just vanish. It's utter desolation.
The weight of it must be unbearable.
Crushing.
And then finally, Paul himself. October 1918.
So close to the end of the war, just weeks away.
He dies, quietly. On a day when the official Army report, with that crushing irony, states, all quiet on the Western Front.
Because one soldier's death means nothing in the grand scheme of the war machine.
The book describes him as falling forward, looking almost peaceful, as if sleeping.
But Remarque immediately undercuts that, doesn't he?
He does, with that final, devastating line. But the peace was not in the world. It was only in death.
Chilling. And that ending with the indifferent report, it just encapsulates Remarque's entire message. He lived through it. He was a veteran.
Yes, he knew what he was writing about.
And he wrote this book specifically to counter the propaganda, to show war as it really was. Not glorious, devastating, not honorable, just cruel and senseless.
It's Paul's story, but it stands for that whole lost generation.
Exactly. Those too young for politics, old enough to die for them, as he puts it. Boys who went straight from the classroom to the trenches.
And the book is just an unflinching look at that reality. Its power lies in that refusal to glamorize any of it.
It directly challenges those easy narratives about heroism and patriotism. It says something much harder, much truer.
Like that quote near the end, "We are not heroes, we are broken boys, and the only thing we learned is how to die."
Stark. Unforgettable. It's not just a story about WWI, it's a timeless warning.
So we've journeyed with Paul Bäumer from that naive idealism in the classroom, right through the horrors of the Western Front. We've seen innocence destroyed, friendships forged under fire, and ultimately, the staggering human cost.
Remarque's message about that lost generation, about the true face of war stripped bare of glory, it just hits you. Because he focuses on the individual cost, the human reality behind the historical event.
It makes you think. As we wrap up, maybe consider this. How do stories like Paul's, these unflinching accounts of reality, how do they make us look differently at the stories about conflict we hear today?
Yeah, the news, movies, even history books sometimes. How does understanding Paul's experience challenge us to question those narratives? To always look for the human story within the larger picture?
Something to definitely keep in mind.